Hello. Let me just get this ready. Hi. Week three of my daily practice, which is nice. I thought when I started that it was a 2-week experiment, so here I am on week 3. Just gonna keep rolling on the floor basically and invite you to join me, whoever you are out there. Keep letting me know how it goes, hoping streaming is okay, etc. And again, just a reminder for people, I launched my new online schedule today. So I've been bombarding social media with that. Please share and check it out. And yeah, this is continuing at the same time. So my online schedule is a chance to do some classes where obviously via Zoom. So I'll be able to see people and feedback and that kind of thing. But I'm just going to keep this going as well because it's not Pilates and it's not Feldenkrais, but it's lots of things, this practice, and it's my practice really. So I'm just going to keep live streaming it, and anybody's welcome to join. Always with the disclaimer that because I can't see you, I'm not giving corrections. Even though I would always say this if I'm teaching, that you must listen to your own body and follow your own sensations, that you know your body best. But even more so when you're just practicing at home, really listen to your own body and don't do anything I say or I do just because I say so or I do it that way. Really just take this as a time to explore your own movement, your own body, your own sensation. Some days you might want to go hardcore, some days you might just want to be really gentle. Come in and go out of it as you like with me. And I'll just continue to talk through in the first person so that it's clear that it's me doing it my way. Just in case alarm set for didn't set it in advance. Just in case alarm set for 4:40, and yeah. Let's see what happens. I've got some plans for practice, but it's always improvised, so I'll guide it as we go along. Let's see. I definitely want to start lying down. I just realised I got some pants drying on the radiator here that are just out of the camera that I didn't see them, but they're not in shot. Live streaming from home. Okay, so have a lie down. I got these beautiful flowers, which you can't see in camera either. Someone's doing some heavy machinery work outside somewhere I can hear. So, just gonna lie down. Checking in with myself to start with. Lying with my arms and legs long so that I know this is a basic position I can come back to and use to observe myself, observe my body, my mind, my thoughts, my feelings, my sensations. Always lots going on these days. Things coming in and out of my mind. All of those things having an effect on my body as well. So just listening, checking in. I'm going to roll my head from side to side, or rather, I'm going to have the intention of rolling my head from side to side. Because I'm doing it in such a way as to really just listen to what's possible without any strain. Today I already of resistance. I'm just observing. My head is just heavy on the ground and doesn't really want to move. So I just test what's possible. Really zooming in and listening. And I just rest. And then I stand my feet, both knees bent, both feet standing, and I just listen to how that's changed my contact with the ground. And I want to come back to rolling today. So just very softly I roll any way that is easy and pleasurable over onto my side. And I take a rest. And I roll back onto my back. I'm just going to go that same way a few times actually. I'm just rolling onto one side, pausing, resting, breathing, making myself comfortable, and then rolling back again. And I'm not looking for a right way. I'm not trying to repeat the same thing every time necessarily. I'm just exploring a movement. It seems like such a simple movement, but there are infinite ways of doing this. So I start by just noticing, what do I do? What's my way of doing this today, right now? Notice my breathing. I notice the speed of the movement, the rhythm. I notice the quality of the movement, how smooth it is, how fluid or broken it is. I notice whether there's any increase or decrease in speed, any acceleration or deceleration. All the time, I'm just exploring how I can do it, letting go more and more, releasing into the ground more and more. I'm having this kind of soft focus of awareness so that I can pick up where I feel any unnecessary tension and exploring, are there ways I can do this that would help me let go of unnecessary tension? And I start from my back and I just see, where do I begin? If I only begin, if I do just the initiation of the movement so that it's not even visible that I have the intention to roll, I'm just thinking about the initiation, where do I feel that? Where am I initiating this movement? I think I'm going to keep rolling onto that same side, but instead of doing it, I just initiate and then stop. And I do it again. I just initiate and then stop. Where do I feel myself working just in that first moment of initiation? Interesting for me today, it's somewhere I wouldn't have expected. And then I carry out the whole movement again. And I speed it up a little bit now so I don't pause on my back or pause on my side. I just roll one way and then back, the same way and then back. My ribs are soft, my neck is relaxed, my jaw is relaxed. I can feel I have a little bit of chronic tension in one hip, that's my hip that is often challenging for me, so I'm just noticing it and trying to accommodate that. I pause lying on my side and I just see what's it like only to initiate the roll back onto my back, only initiating. Where do I initiate from? So I just have the intention to roll back onto my back, but I don't actually do it. I just go to do it and notice where does the movement initiate. I notice it's in a different place from when I was rolling from my back onto my side. To roll from my side onto my back, I'm apparently initiating in a different place. And then I keep going, and just once or twice I roll again, nice and fluid, letting go of any unnecessary tension, making it as pleasurable and soft for myself as I can. And then I lie on my back, and I stay lying on my back, and I lengthen my legs. And I see, how am I lying now? I'm noticing again with this soft focus of awareness, what do I sense now? What do I feel? I notice my contact with the ground has changed. I notice that today the changes aren't necessarily what I would have expected from rolling just onto that one side so many times. So I notice a difference between my two sides, but not necessarily in the way I might have anticipated. And then I stand my feet again, and I roll again. I'm going to roll again onto the same side that I was rolling on before. So rather than repeating what I just did on my first side, now on my second side, I'm going to develop it. So I roll back onto my first side, and then I roll back onto my back and over to my second side. And I roll back onto my back and back onto my first side. So I'm now rolling via my back every time, but going both ways. So I'm noticing as I do this that how I roll onto my first side is different from how I roll onto my second side. And I just keep exploring that difference. I've just been told that the sound is low, but I don't really know how to change that. Oh well, I hope you could hear me up until now. I'm just going to continue. So I take a little pause for myself just after dealing with a sound issue. There's always some kind of issue. It's just amazing. I'm just trying to stop myself from swearing on a live stream. You think you've dealt with the tech, and then there's always another issue. So I just let it go and roll on the floor. So I roll back to my first side again, just because that's the side I'm comfortable with right now. And then I continue, and I'm rolling both ways, noticing how the rolling is different one side to the other. breathing. Doing whatever I want to do to make it more comfortable for myself. My priority is making it comfortable. And actually, because I want to make it more comfortable for myself, I'm going to just mini roll from my back. So rather than going completely onto my side, I'm just rolling a little one way and then a little the other way. I'm letting my head, my shoulders, my knees participate, so that I don't have to work too much through my center, but I can use my whole self to shift weight, pouring my weight a little bit to the left and a little bit to the right, a little bit to one side of the back of my body and then a little bit to the other side of the back of my body, making it softer each time. And then I'm going to start using my hands on my torso to help me roll. So I'm using very gently, easy, soft hands to help move my belly, to help move my pelvis, to help move my thighs, to help roll my ribs, to help roll my chest, soften my chest. I'm really using this soft touch. Rolling my head, my hand on my head, my hand on the opposite arm, my hand on the armpit on the other side, the shoulder on the other side. I can feel my insides pouring from one side to the other, my pubic bone, my innards. My feet are on the floor all the time. Rolling my weight, pouring my weight. I vary the size of the movement. Using my hands to help steer and guide. My hand on my own jaw. And then I just rest. Keep my feet in standing. Noticing I'm gradually able to soften, release tension. The soundtrack from outside has changed now. And then I'm rolling again, and I'm going to build it so that I just roll, starting by pouring weight from one side to the other. Do whatever I want with my arms to help me. My feet and knees can help me. And I'm just going to grow that movement so that gradually I can make it bigger. I notice that I that I creep up the mat a little bit. If I do this with my feet standing, I'm obviously pushing into my feet a little bit and creeping up the mat a little bit, creeping up my blanket a bit. So I just wriggle my way back down and I vary the size of the movement. And I'm not trying to perfect anything, because what is there to perfect? I haven't set anything rigid, so I can't perfect it, because I can only explore different ways of doing it. And I roll, and I'm starting to now let my feet come off the floor, or let my legs lengthen. So I start to play with different ways that my legs can help me roll, whether my knees are bent or long, whether my feet stay on the floor or come up into the air. I have to accommodate a little bit the fact that my feet bump into my bed in one direction, so I have to roll on the floor and allow that.
And I let my arms go above the head on the floor. I start to let different parts of my body lead. So whereas before I was rolling quite equally, actually I'm going to go back and just revise. Rolling side to side, and I just want to be a bit more mindful, regardless of what my arms and legs are doing, what my technique is. My intention now is to roll and not twist. So I'm being specific, not about how I roll, but about the fact that I'm rolling and not twisting. So that means that my right side goes more or less at the same time, and my left side goes more or less at the same time. And it means that there's no twist going through my spine. So, developmentally, this is a more basic pattern. I'm not having any rotation through my spine, or rather, I'm having minimal rotation through my spine, because I'm trying to do a simultaneous movement rather than a sequential movement of the spine. The whole length of my spine rolls all at once. And as it rolls all at once, I try to keep my soft focus of awareness so that I can let go of tension I don't need. Accept different ways of doing it. Accept that it's not perfect. Especially when I keep my feet on the floor, it's hard for me to do a sequential movement. A simultaneous movement. But I'm just trying to roll. And then I rest. I lie on my back and I just rest. Wow, and I notice that my contact with the floor has really changed now. I feel for myself right now a much greater, more spread out contact with the ground. And now I can hear the birds outside instead of somebody else's music or heavy machinery, which is what I could hear before. So I'm going to start again with my feet standing on my knees bent. And I'm going to come back to just rolling side to side in whatever way that I want, shifting my weight. And it can be a small roll from side to side, so that basically I'm still on my back the whole time, or it can be a big roll from side to side, so that I'm going all the way onto my left and onto my right, rolling via my back each time. And now I'm starting to intentionally explore different ways of doing that so that it's not sequential anymore. Sorry, so that it's not simultaneous anymore. So that now I'm twisting, intentionally twisting through my spine. So at some point my arms and legs go together. I'm playing with whether my arms and legs are long. Do I have my arms and legs long as I roll through the center? Or do I have my arms and legs bent as I roll through the center? Does my head go first and my pelvis and legs follow? Or do my legs go first and my head goes last? Or do I alternate? All the time I'm just using the space I have, so I'm spiraling through my spine. And I'm going via my back. I'm using my arms and legs to help me. And I'm exploring different points of initiation. And just easily, I'm noticing that now that I'm spiraling, I end up also rolling onto my belly a little bit more. So I allow it to roll. I roll onto my belly as well as onto my side. And I just keep playing with rolling. I'm only ever doing what's soft and comfortable. I'm trying all the time to let go so that I can use my own body weight in different ways and achieve greater comfort in life, greater range of movement, greater pleasure, greater capacity for movement, greater adaptability, just through playing with different ways and letting go of tension rather than just by trying harder. I take a rest. And I bring my legs above my belly and I take my hands to my knees and then I start to just play around like a baby on its back with my own feet. I notice a grotty bit of skin on my heel. And I play with my feet and I waggle my feet around like a baby. And I play with my legs and I lift my head up and look at my legs. And I give my legs a little hug. And I only go where it's comfortable, where I'm easy, working easy. I try to resist pushing into a stretch because I could do that another time. I know how to do that, but I can get some other things out of this different approach where I just let myself be interested in some toes for a while. I can see my toes and the flowers that are on the shelf above me. And I notice I'm holding my left leg easier than my right. I give some attention to my right leg, but it feels a little bit less willing, so I don't push it. And I pick my head up again, and I'm just basically doing weird stuff, rolling around on my back. And I just start to lengthen my legs in different directions. Maybe one leg comes down to the floor, and I come back to rolling. My breathing's really changing. I've got yawning today. I'm not so tired, but it's just changing my breathing. So I'm letting my head lift, rolling still from side to side, really just within my range of comfort, resting my head down whenever I want, holding on to my feet and legs in different ways so as to create different closed chains. Basically, if I was really thinking about a kind of sports training practice, I'm creating a closed chain movement. If I hold on with one part of my body to another part of my body, it's a closed chain. Whatever happens between my hands and the other part that I'm holding on to, it involves my whole body. So I can start to play with how one action affects the whole system, which has led me to rolling forwards and backwards rather than side to side. And I'm not trying to do it like a Pilates exercise. I'm just rolling, and I'm playing with how I can hold my feet in different ways, And I'm only rolling because I'm comfortable, I'm on a soft carpet and I'm on a blanket and I've got comfort in my legs, in my back. There are so many ways of rolling, and I realise that I can tip my weight very easily because I'm using momentum, and I'm just playing with what my hands do, and I'm coming into a little crouch, and I'm only doing what's possible, and then I think, oh, I had enough of that, and I have a lie down. Oh. And I know that I was working a little bit harder in the last play because last time I rested on my back after I'd been rolling side to side for a long time, I had a much greater contact with the floor, whereas now I've got a bit less contact with the floor, so I know I've got a little bit more tension into my back again, even though I've got more contact with the floor than I had at the beginning. I've got less contact with the floor than I had when I checked in last time. I'm just assessing, observing what happens. There's no judgment attached. So I bring my arms and legs back into the air, and I'm not going to roll forwards and backwards anymore. I'm just going to play around with where my legs go. Lifting my legs, playing around with my limbs. And I want to go back to rolling side to side rather than forwards and backwards, and I'm just going to play with rolling side to side while I hold only one foot. And the other leg just does whatever it wants. How do I roll side to side while I'm holding one foot? Different things happen. Suddenly, because I'm holding one foot, really different things become possible. I'm rolling side to side without any pressure, there's no effort. That's a lie, there was a tiny bit of effort just there where I sat up. But there doesn't need to be, so I can play with other ways of doing it. I'm holding onto one foot. And that's the only constraint, that with either one hand or the other or both, I'm holding onto one foot and rolling around, rolling side to side, or whatever it turns into, whatever it develops into. But how I hold the foot can change. Where the foot is in space can change. Where the other leg is in space can change. Whether the other leg is long or bent, that can change. Everything can change. Which is where movement meets philosophy. Rolling, rolling, rolling. And I just have a little play with this foot that I'm holding. And I'm only doing what's soft and pleasurable and easy, and it can always be smaller. I can always rest when I want. And speaking of which, I'm going to rest. And I'm again just scanning through the body as I always do when I come to this rest, just noticing what I can notice. Notice quite a different sensation down my left and right sides, particularly in the shoulder, the left hip, and the left leg. Interesting. So I bend my feet and I come to my other side and I'm going to hold the other foot. I start with both hands and feet in the air, but then I hold the other foot. And I'm just going to remind myself I need to treat this second side like its own thing. I'm not trying to repeat what I did on the other side. I'm just creating the same criteria, which is that I need to now hold on to my second foot only. I can do that with one hand or with both hands, one hand or the other or with both. So the only constraint now is that I'm always going to be holding on to my second foot, but otherwise I don't need to try and repeat what I did on the other side necessarily. I really want to just treat this second side like a new exploration altogether. I might find really different things on this second side if I try to go into it without making assumptions. Already I realise I'm doing something on this second side that I didn't find at all on the first side. I didn't do this at all on my first side. So I can feel gentle little stretches. I can feel that I go towards a stretch, but I don't push into it. I'm interested about limits and boundaries and softly playing with them, but just being gentle and not forcing anything. So I feel on this side that I'm starting more with an exploration of where my leg can go and what's possible in my hip joint, and less with the obvious, or rather less with a big roll. I'm still thinking about holding the foot and rolling side to side, but I'm doing it in really different ways. And I have a stretch and a yawn. And I start to play with other things. Where does my other leg go? Which hand am I holding my foot with? Which leg is long? Which leg is bent? Are both legs long? Are both legs bent? Where do my eyes go? I've got what I would call Feldenkrais hair. I've just noticed on the camera. Like rolling is amazing for the body, for the mind, for the nervous system. Not so good for the hair nest. And I keep rolling and just try to play on this second side. It's interesting because I feel that my left, when I was holding onto my other side, maybe I had less freedom in the hip joint, but it was easier for me to move my whole body at once. The closed chain was more obvious. Whereas here I've got more independent mobility in the hip joint maybe, but it's not quite so easy for me to move my whole body, to feel how the movement of the hip joint can transfer through my whole system and move my whole body. I just roll a little bit more, letting it go wherever it wants, developing the roll find something I like, I play with it a little bit. And then I just let go. And I rest my legs long. And I notice what I sense now. I notice the thoughts and feelings as well as the body, the sensations in the body. It's easier said than done to observe without judging. So I didn't mind at all that my two hips were different. But now that I'm done, I feel like, yeah, if I was doing a longer practice, I would go back and explore for a lot more time how I can find more possibilities on both sides, because one side can learn from the other. So at the moment I feel like I've got to the stage where I've played a good amount on both sides, but I've learnt about how each side is different. The next stage for me would be to continue exploring and allow both sides to learn from each other and have more possibilities on both sides. Anyway, I'm going to come back to holding my legs, my feet, whatever, and come back to rolling a little bit side to side. Wow, I really wasn't expecting to be yawning so much today. And I'm going to keep rolling. And I'm going to try and just roll to my side, and as I'm holding my feet, I'm just letting that roll me. This is comfortable for me again because the floor is soft, because I feel I've got here easily, but I'm not pushing it. And I'm just rolling different ways, side to side and coming to sitting. Side to side and coming to sitting. And then I'm just going to keep rolling past my belly, and I'm just exploring all of the different ways I can go from my side onto my belly now and into sitting. Some ways are very simple. I've got the same thing, same exploration as I had when I was rolling side to side on my back before. Am I doing a simultaneous movement of the spine so that there's not so much twist going through my spine? Harder if you're going through the belly. Or am I really intentionally spiraling? What do I do with my feet? Do I keep my feet together? And I just have to use the space that I've got. And I'm rolling, rolling, rolling. And I'm going to come onto my side and my belly and my side, and I'm now keeping my head and hands in the air so that I can really feel my contact with the torso against the ground changing. So my hands and feet are staying up in the air now all the time, and I'm aware of my belly, my back. I'm still trying to stay soft in the jaw and explore how to do it. I change the rhythm, even though I need to be a little bit careful that I don't bump into things. And I'm just exploring a movement which is clearly needing a little bit more work center. And I just play rolling on my back. I'm training now, keeping my head, feet and hands off the floor. I just go from my back onto one side, from my back onto one side, my back onto one side, onto my belly, onto my back, and then onto the other side, from my back onto the other side, from my back onto the other side, from my back onto the other side, belly, side, back, side, belly, side, back. Big juicy movement. I can feel my abs working, trying to keep my jaw released. And I do the same thing with exploration on my belly, to my side, belly, to my side. That was a bit of an effort because the bed got in the way. Belly, my side, and I speed it up. Woo! I feel my abdominals lengthening and shortening, lengthening and shortening, lengthening and shortening. And I roll all the way onto my back. Again, all the time my head and hands, knees and elbows are off the floor. And I just have a last little play with rolling side to side. Now maybe different ways of rolling. Any way of rolling that I can find. I don't think I've ever done this before. So there you go, that's good. And then I just lie down and take a last rest. Really flowing, organic form of conditioning. When I rest, I scan my body. The first thing I notice is a difference in temperature this time. The fact that my breath has moved. I'm just shuffling, shifting on the floor just to make myself more comfortable. Now that my own self-organisation has changed, always just, the only correction is always just to make myself more comfortable. I take a last rest, letting everything go. And I revisit rolling my head side to side. I see how that feels now compared to the beginning. And I bend my knees and stand my feet and test my head again. And then just leave the head and notice my contact with the ground. And then I want to just, before I stand, wriggle very gently through my hands and feet. And try to just remind my fingers and toes of how they connect to my center. So I've done lots of moving of my center in today's practice, and I've explored the closed chain and the hips and the shoulders and the hands and feet, but I haven't really explored the fingers and the toes. So I just want to bring my fingers and my toes into a little play, into a little exploration. And I'm still not pushing. I'm just seeing what's possible, very soft. In my awareness, connecting my fingers and toes to my center. And I'm just gonna bring my fingers and toes all together in a little jumble. Jumble them up. And then bring my hands to my center and jumble that up. Using my fingers on my belly, low belly, and then I go back to my fingers on my toes, and my jaw is soft. I'm in my little baby state again, gormlessly looking around at the world, And then I come back to my fingers on my toes, and I feel my fingers on my toes on my center. And then I roll all the way up to standing. When I finish standing, fingers, toes, center, and a soft awareness that can take in my whole self. Noticing how I'm standing, my contact with the floor, just what it feels like to be here, to be upright, to be vertical, to be living in the time that I'm living in. And I take a little walk. Even the walk, I just do it how I want. So for me personally today, my walk is swifter. Taking a swift little walk. Practicing keeping my attention in my own body and my own sensation at the same time as being able to look around at the world around me. And then I finish. Thank you. Thanks for joining me.